go over real quick how to remove the batteries in a Permobil C300 wheelchair. Now I'm just taking the batteries out of this, so basically just reverse all these steps if you're going to be changing the batteries and putting new ones back in. This chair has a seat elevator on it, so the first thing you want to do is raise the seat elevator all the way up. If your chair does not have a seat elevator, down here in this area there's going to be a big Allen clamp screw, and you'll have to loosen that and either pick up the seating with a Hoyer or lift it up just enough to be able to get these covers off. Most of these chairs do have seat lifts on them though, so that makes it a little bit easier. Now this chair has been modified a little bit, so normally your brake release lever would be right here, just so you know, and these holes on each side wouldn't be here. But the first step is we're going to go ahead and remove the screws that hold this front cover on here. Okay, screws are out. This front cover sort of lifts up and pulls forward at the same time, like that. There's little hooks down here on the bottom that catch on this ledge right here. So we'll go ahead and move that to the side. One other area this chair is slightly different than most is you're not going to have these zip ties right here holding the plastics on. I added these just to prevent a little bit of rattling. So I'm going to take these off real quick. Next step is going to be removing this top blue cover. There's a little latch right here on the back, and the rear cover fits into that. So just kind of pull it out like this, and then there's going to be some Velcro strips inside this. And it's a pretty industrial Velcro. So once your two front screws are out, front covers are removed, this latch is disengaged, just pull up and you'll see this pop loose. Like that. And there you can see our industrial Velcro on each side here. So we'll go ahead and set this off to the side. And then we're going to want to remove this back cover. Preferably point your rear caster wheels straight back, and then there's little latches on each side right here with a little screw in the middle. So what you want to do is just take your finger, pop this tab loose. Now for some reason I also hot glued this on for less rattling, so normally when you pull on these it'll just come right off. I'm just popping the hot glue loose. Okay, so let's pretend the hot glue wasn't on there. You'll pop those latches and this thing will kind of come down, back, and up like this, and it'll pull out through the middle of the caster wheels. And here we have our controller in the back, and you can see there's the rear battery, and here is the front battery. At this point you want to make sure your chair is powered off. And we're going to come back here. This controller is mounted on a plate that just kind of sits in here, and there's some hooks that go over this bar. Again, I've added copious amounts of hot glue so nothing rattles. So you'll be able to just basically grab this plate and lift it up. Something like that. Alright, there we go. So this plate's gonna kind of come loose like that, and what we want to do is just basically pull back gently. There should be enough slack on these wires, and then we're gonna lift up. Again, I've added more hot glue so it doesn't rattle. There we go. This just basically lifts up like that, and it's probably good to disconnect this left side motor. Just squeeze these little tabs right here, and this connector will pull right out. There we go. Left motor is disconnected. We'll put the wire over there. And then typically this entire mess, you can just kind of grab it and set it over here like that. Then what we're going to want to do is pull back these rubber boots. And we'll also unplug the power from the controller too. That's these big red and black wires here in the middle. You just push down on this little thumb tab and it pops right out. So we're going to grab a wrench and loosen up these bolts here. In this particular case, these bolts are 11mm or 7/16. So we're just going to pop these loose. Once they're loose, you can usually just unscrew them with your fingers. There we go. Set those aside. And you're going to want to take note of where these cables are going, because as you can see back here, they're both black. These are labeled. It says positive and minus. And some chairs, they will be red. Some chairs will have a black sheath over them. So if these are not labeled, get yourself a piece of masking tape and label them according to where they're connected on the battery here. Now, some chairs will have these little plastic clips in here. Again, they will not have this pile of hot glue. There's one on each side, and we're going to need to basically slide these things out. It's just sort of a little plastic thing, so you should be able to grab them with your fingers or maybe a pair of pliers and they'll just pull straight out. But I'm going to have to get all that glue off of there. Nice thing about hot glue is it does hold pretty good, but it will come off when you need it to without too much of a problem. There we go. And then I can just grab that with the pliers and it should just all come off of there. There we go. And then this little spacer clip thing will just pull right out. And there's another one over here. So probably gonna have to move these wires back out of the way. Pop this glue loose. There we go. And there's our other clip. These basically hold the batteries in place and also kind of stabilize this bar that the suspension is attached to. So let's pull our controller and everything back out of the way here. Then pull this wire off to the side. And if you're lucky, your batteries will have some straps around them that make them easier to pull out. So you'll just want to be careful with all these wires, but you want to just basically get the front lip of this battery up over the edge like that, and then you can pull it out. But as you can see, in the interest of rattliness, there's also cardboard in here. So let me get this cardboard pulled out. You can probably tell that I don't like my chairs rattling, hence all the glue and cardboard and everything all over the place. Now just grab the strap or the edge of the battery, lift it up just enough so that it's over this bottom lip, and then the whole thing should just slide right out. And make sure your caster wheels are kind of pointed off to the side so there's room for the battery. Be careful of your fingers and try not to short circuit anything on the battery. And we'll just basically pull this out till it's to the edge, and you can tilt it down and get it on the ground without having to actually lift it. All right, let's go to the front. Front of these is basically the same, but a little bit easier. I'm gonna pull these rubber boots back. Grab our socket. Now there may be Phillips screws, there may be Allen head screws, there could be any number of different size fasteners on the batteries. And just so you know, the chassis on this is not grounded. So ordinarily you'd want to be careful not to cross connect something like that in an automotive application. But these chairs, everything's isolated, so you don't really have to worry about that unless there's some sort of problem. But then this thing will probably already have melted down long before that. Just get these all pulled out of here. Same thing, these batteries have a strap around them, so basically grab a hold of it. More cardboard. All right, get my cardboard out of here. And it should come out basically the same way. Tilt it up. Get all this stuff out of the way here. Slide it forward. And then you can just sort of rotate it down onto the ground. And there we go. We've removed both the batteries without actually having to lift them. Now, unfortunately, I'm actually not putting batteries back in this chair. It's just gonna go into cold storage for now. So usually just grab all your plastic pieces and parts, stick them in the back here. We'll put our controller kind of back here where it goes. Just like that. Tuck our wires in here. And then we'll put our covers back on. There's some little tabs on the bottom here you can see that hook on the lip of the bottom of the chair. And the little flaps on each side go on the outside of the battery box. And then you just basically push it forward, and these little clips here kind of re-engage. And this just slides back over. Get this little clip in here. Give it one of these right here to get that Velcro reseated. The Velcro is missing on this side, but you can do it over here as well. Front cover is a similar setup. There's little hooks on the bottom here, and they just sort of clip to the front of the battery box. And this will tuck up under your seat lift motor. And then just make sure these are in place down here. There you go. Put your thumb screws back in. And there we go.